Hopefully y'all are learning something from this. Teach your daughters, somebody. Teach your little sister, somebody. Okay, part 2. I had to take a break, y'all. I had to take a break. Okay, so part 2. So he wake up and he like, I just can't do this no more. So I'm like, do what? And he was like, this. This was so serious. And I'm just like, bro, what? And he was like, you're gonna have to go to a shelter or something because this not working. And like, y'all, for y'all to even understand, it was winter time. So this is like right before Christmas, I think. Yeah, this is right before Christmas. This is the Midwest. Like, y'all can say Kentucky South all y'all want. No, it's right next to Illinois. So this is the Midwest. It's cold. I remember there being snow on the ground. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And I was just talking to my mother about this. She said that I called her and was like, he kicked me out. Can y'all come get me? And my mama was like, yeah, you can always come back home, but I'm not coming to get you. Like, you got to find your own way. And I don't remember that. I really don't remember that. But she said that's what happened. So I'm like, okay, well, that's out the question because I ain't got no money. I don't have no money. I ain't had no money at the time. I got no money. I have no resources. I have no family. I have no friends because I'm 5 hours away from home. So I was just like, well, he's like, well, you better call shelters. And I was like, this man for real. Rude. So I'm like, all right, cool, F it, because you ain't got to tell me more than once. Clearly he did, because I still, never mind. But, so I'm like, okay, so I'm calling shelters. Y'all, there was only one shelter in this small town. There was only one shelter in this small town. Like, all the other shelters were in other counties, so they were all like 45 minutes and further away. Like, the only shelter in this one county or in this one small town, it was like right up the street, but it was only one. So I call her and she like, yeah, we're not accepting. I'm like, ma'am, you don't understand what's going on right now. Pump the brakes, listen. So I'm like, literally, I'm like, my ex is kicking me out. I was like, I have 2 small kids. I was like, I have no idea what to do. I was like, I don't got no job. I don't have nothing. This man is kicking me out in winter with my 2 kids. And I don't got nothing. I ain't got nothing. Like, I was like, all my family is 5 hours away. I don't have a way to get back home. Like, I'm literally about to just be on the streets in the snow. Do you want to build a snowman? Like, sis, I need help. Ma'am, I need resources. Help a kid out, you know? So she's like, oh, okay. So, but even still, like, they wouldn't take me. She was like, well, we'll have an opening the first of the year. And I was just like, did she not hear what I said? Like, I'm about to be building snowmans out here. So I tell him, he like, all right, cool. We was set to move sometime after the first of the year. So somehow that worked out. Like, that was convenient for him. All right, cool. Do y'all know how awkward Christmas? Do y'all know how awkward Christmas was? Like, we had, I didn't have no friends. Everything was his friends. And when I say friends, like our neighbors, mind you, y'all, I am like in my early 20s. These neighbors and friends were men in their 40s and 50s. Men who don't do nothing but drink whiskey and Paul Masson, I think, was the drink. Like, okay, for all the visual learners, I just want to input this. So when I say older country men, I'm talking about country, chain smoking, pickup truck driving, handkerchief wielding, overall and work boot wearing, cheap whiskey drinking old folks. This is my life. Living in a small one bedroom apartment with 2 kids. Husband home. He just kicked me out. All of my friends who are his friends, actually, like, literally. So quick, let me just insert this real quick. When I'm telling y'all, like, this was my life. I remember I used to go down to the neighbor's house, just walk around the corner, and on every Wednesday to watch wrestling with this man. To watch wrestling with a disabled, he was disabled, like he was getting disability because somebody had beat him so bad, like earlier in his life. So like literally here I am in my early 20s, like I'm 22 or 23 at the time, and this is my life going to 40. He was like 50 or something, probably 60. I'm going to a 50-year-old man house to watch wrestling, and I don't even like wrestling. That was my life. Yo, okay, so back to the issue. So okay, so for Christmas we ended up like having, that was the get together at one of the neighbors, the neighbor whose house I used to watch wrestling at. His brother had a trailer, and we just like, we would always go have holidays over there. And so like I remember going to this man's house to celebrate Christmas knowing I'm finna be homeless in like a few weeks, in a week to be exact. So I'm just like, okay. And I remember like we brought the new year in at his house as well. So it was just like super awkward. And like I remember we had some other neighbors. They were like, it was an older lady. She's like, well, you can come and you could sleep on my couch, and you don't have to go to a shelter. You can come and stay with me, and da da da. Oh, and I also want to point this part out. He wasn't kicking the kids out because they was on his Section 8 vouchers. So he was just kicking me out. So I do want to make that clear. But me, I was not letting my kids was not about to be where I was at. So that was my whole thing. So yeah, he kicked me out, but the kids like was still allowed. I don't know. But anyway, so I bring the new year in with this at our neighbor's house. And the next day, ironically, I go to the shelter on 1/1/2014. 1/1/2014 was the year of the snake. Y'all want to know what year I was born? The year of the snake. I was born the year of the snake. I just feel like that has some type of significance. So he didn't even take me to the shelter either. He didn't take me to the shelter. The man who house trailer we was at bringing the new year in is the person who took me to the shelter. When I tell y'all I didn't have a cell phone, did I have a driver's license? I think at this point I had got my driver's license because I had to teach myself how to drive. So when I went to the shelter with one suitcase that wasn't even full of clothes. Like I had 5 or something outfits. Like I had a couple outfits. I have no cell phone. I had no money. Like I literally went to the shelter. I think I sold some stuff just to have a couple dollars to go to the shelter. Like I don't remember a whole lot, but I remember the day that I got there and was being enrolled in. Bro, mind you, it's January 1st, 2014. And I remember having these sunglasses on, and I would not take the sunglasses off, bro, because I'm boo-hoo crying. Like, what the am I about to do? What am I about to do? And I remember like the lady that enrolled me in, I think I was like rolling my eyes and stuff on the shit because I was just so annoyed and so irritated. And this was just a completely, I feel like a life altering event. So I get there, they trying to welcome me. They did welcome me. Like actually I felt very welcome. It was just like I had to get comfortable and had to get used to it. I don't even remember who my first roommate was either. I don't remember who my first roommate was, but I think I cried when I cried and took a nap. I cried and I took a nap when I first got there. And so that was that. I cried and took a nap when I first got there. Now, mind you, this was a 3-month shelter. And I don't have a job. I have no resources. Of course, they hook you up with a lot of stuff once you get there. So, that's how I ended up finally applying for like food stamps and getting food stamps and all this stuff. So the big thing was like, I was like, I'm not going to be able to get Section 8 because I'm gonna have to apply as a single woman because he's using my children's birth certificate and stuff to get his Section 8 voucher. Cool beans. So I'm living in a shelter the first 3 months, and when I tell you, I was so hard on myself. Like, I remember there would be times like where somebody's cell phone would ring, and I'd be like, well, it ain't. I was just so like sad, sorry case of Debbie Downer. Like, somebody phone ring and I'd be like, well, it ain't mine because I ain't got nothing. Like, I don't have nothing. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing to hide. Like, literally new women would come in and they would get a job within 2 days. And I'm just like, I could not find a job. I literally was going on 2 to 3 interviews a week and I could not find a job. For 3 months, I'm doing this because it's a 3-month shelter. So after 3 months, you transition out or you got to go. I don't know, but it was a 3-month shelter. Like, this is not a long-term shelter. It's a 3-month shelter. So new people coming in and getting jobs. Like, I'm the only one without a job. And I used to be hard on myself about that. So, like, I don't know. Like, I was real hard on myself about that all the time. And there was this woman at the shelter who she used to be like, so because I didn't have a job, you have to work the program. Like, you have to cook. It was a cooking schedule. Everybody had to be on a cooking schedule. If you didn't have a job, you had to stay at the shelter to do these classes. So, like, a domestic violence lady came and she would do classes with us. Some ladies from a church came and they used to do Bible study classes with us. Like, a money management lady would come every so often to do these money management classes with us. So because I don't have a job, I'm there for all of this. Like, I'm meeting all these people. Everybody, literally everybody is falling in love with me. Everybody loves me. And part of me is thinking like, well, of course you live in a homeless shelter. Of course they're going to be nice. Like, still not even understanding it's me that they like. Like, so all the residents, like, it was only one girl there that I ever had beef with. Everybody else, like, it was cool. Like, when my name was on the cooking schedule to cook, everybody would come home and be in the kitchen like, well, Sierra cooking, so let's pull up, let's turn up. So it was just like my really first time having an experience where I was accepted. Negative things weren't being said about me. I don't want to say love, but yeah, like, I was making friends and stuff. Like, this was different for me. And one of the ladies at the shelter, mind you, all the ladies actually, okay, I go. Yeah, so one of my best friends ended up being the lady at the shelter. Like, once I transitioned out of the shelter, one of the, what do you call them, counselors? I don't know. Ended up being my best friends for years. Like, we're still cool to this day. But there was another lady there. She was an older woman, and she just used to always say to me, like, so when I get to, well, I ain't got nothing, I still ain't got no job, I'm the only one that can't find a job, and she used to look at me, and so she used to be like, Sierra, you are so rich in spirit, and I'm really sad that you don't see that. And I would always be like, here she go with this. Like, sis, I'm not trying to hear that. This is a 3-month shelter. I got like another couple weeks to get my bread up and get a place for me and my kids. Like, so at this point, I still don't have a job. I don't have no leads. I don't have nothing. And I just used to always harp on that. So eventually I ended up getting a job. I go and I interview at McDonald's. Because I'm like, okay, all these new girls coming in and they getting jobs at McDonald's. Now, they want to stand at McDonald's long. Like, they would either get fired or quit after a few weeks. But they was getting hired. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go and apply at McDonald's. I go and I apply at McDonald's. They hired me right then and there. This how I know it was a scam, because I literally tell the lady that I'm interviewing with, I was like, well, I don't really like people like that. So if you got some back of the house jobs, don't be putting me in nobody's face. Like, I don't like people. This is what I told this lady at this interview. She still hired me. So she hired me. I leave my interview and I get a call, and it's Walmart. Mind you, I had put in my application at Walmart months. Like, that was one of the first jobs I applied for when I got to the shelter. And they calling me to tell me that they want to offer me a job. So I'm just like, and where you been at? So now I went from having 0 jobs to 2 jobs. So I get back to the shelter and I'm telling everybody, and they just like, well, which job you gonna take? I'm like, I'm finna take both. What are you talking about? McDonald's was day shift, Walmart was night shift. So I was working day shift at McDonald's from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then I was second shift at Walmart unloading trucks from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. Mind you, I don't have a car at this time, so I was relying heavily on public transportation. In a small town, if you live in a small town, then you know that public transport, like literally, the bus comes at the top of the hour. The bus comes once an hour. Your bus route comes once an hour. Now, I'm from Chicago. The bus comes every 15 minutes. So I really had to learn the bus system there. So I get the two jobs, and I'm just like, okay, cool, I'm finna do this, because at this point I had already been at the shelter for 3 months. So they was like, okay, so once I get the job, they're like, okay, how much time you think you need? I'm like, I don't know, maybe a month or two. So I get the job, and this is when I really start seeing that my quality of life before living in the shelter was kind of crappy. So I'm working at McDonald's, which is right up the street from where I then got kicked out of. I think he had moved at this point though. And one of the girls that I worked with at McDonald's, she had lived in an apartment complex that me and my ex used to live in. And one day we was talking, and she was like, yeah, she's like, we all knew he was married, but we never saw you. Like, we all knew he was married with kids, but we literally just never saw you. Like, we knew she was like, a lot of us didn't even know your name. And I'm just like, huh? It was, I don't know. It was like, I felt like, and I'm just like, here we go with this Lifetime movie and stuff. Like, I felt like, I'm like, what she mean she never saw me? And she was like, girl, we never saw you, like, ever. And she's like, when I say never saw you, she's like, I ain't never seen you take the trash out. Like, and I was doing it, but I guess I was just waiting till nighttime to do it. But I don't know. She's like, we never saw you. Like, never. We all knew this man was married with kids, but we never saw you. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true, because I was always in the house. So, so now I'm working 2 jobs. I'm getting no sleep, but I'm working 2 jobs. I'm stacking my bread. And then one day they was having this thing at the shelter where they was like trying to get funding from, so it was like United Way or Catholic Charities, like something like that. So people was gonna come from the organization to listen to like impact statements or impact stories to see if they wanted to donate to the shelter, essentially. So they told us this, and they was like, so at first she was like, well, I need 3 volunteers to just tell their story, basically, to tell the impact that the shelter they had on them. And then from there, it was like, I guess, like, heck of people was, and then from there, it went to, like, I got pulled down. They like, we want you to tell your story. And I was like, what are you talking about? Why y'all want to do that? Why y'all want me to do that? So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. All right, I got you. Cool. Cool beans. I'll be there for you. I'm like, when's the day and time? So, mind you, at this point, I'm still working 2 jobs. Like I said, I'm working at McDonald's from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm catching the bus to the shelter, eating my snack, taking my shower, literally taking anywhere from a 30-minute to 45-minute nap. And I'm going to work at Walmart from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. So, I'm not getting no sleep. And so it comes down to the day where I have to give this speech, right? It wasn't until I got there that I realized I'm unprepared for this, because the other girls that was there, they had note cards, they had little books, they had the index cards with notes, and I was just like, I didn't do any of that. Like, but again, I'm working so much, like, I don't have time to be writing notes and all this. Like, I didn't live this, so it's all right up here. So the other 2 girls go, they give their story, or they tell their story, and I was just like, okay, it's my turn. So I go and I'm telling my story, and I wish I could remember what, it really don't matter what the organization was, but it was like all white people. So it was 1 white dude, and I think 2 or 3 white women. And so I'm telling my story, and I'm just like, and the same way I'm a clown here, like, that's just how I am. Like, I'm a clown. Like, I joke and I laugh a lot. So I'm up there and I'm laughing, I'm joking. I'm just like, I'm actually a Chicago native. And I'm telling them, like, what I just told y'all, you know, I didn't get kicked out. Maybe right before Christmas. This man tell me I got to go. And I'm talking. And I was just like, you know, because I remember one time I was at work and my coworker was like, what you about to do? It was a Friday. And I was like, nothing, I'm about to go home and get some rest because I'm off tomorrow. And she was like, oh, you found the place? I'm like, no, girl, I'm talking about the shelter. But it felt like, I don't want to say it felt like a home because I still wanted my own crib, but I felt safe. I felt free. Like, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulder. There was a certain amount of, I felt safe. I don't know, but apparently enough that I called it home. So I'm telling them my story, and I was like, and just like as I'm talking, at this point, I had never really verbally said a lot of things out loud. Like, I had never told my story before. I had never said some of the things that I was saying out loud in the heat of the moment. And I was just like, as I'm saying it, I'm kind of thinking like, damn, that's wow, that's some stuff right there. And the more I'm talking, the more I'm realizing, like, bro, you was in a whole abusive relationship. I don't think I told y'all, but like the manipulation, the emotional abuse, the financial abuse, he had control of all the money. The physical abuse, I didn't talk about that, but there was physical abuse. And then at this point, there had been some sexual abuse. I don't know if I could say that, but, or attempted assault. So like there was just a lot. So I'm talking and I'm telling this, and as I'm saying it, it kind of dawns on me like, this is an abusive relationship. This is a toxic relationship. Mind you, this is 2014, before toxic and narcissism is trending and everybody's just saying it. And I was just like, whoa. And as I'm talking, like, I remember taking a few steps back, and there was a table behind me, and I remember grabbing onto the table real tight and just sitting down, and I was just like, and everybody's kind of looking at me like, you good? And I was just like, I need a minute, because I was like, I've never even said that. So I'm like, it's really just dawning on me right now that I really was in an abusive relationship. I was like, and I don't think I knew it until just now. And so for me, so I finished my story, and I'm giving my story, and I'm talking, I'm telling these people all's my business. And I told them more than I'm telling y'all right now. So I'm just like, bro, what? Why would you, what? And at the end of it, so the white dude, he gets up, and he like, he got tissues and stuff. I'm thinking he finna hand me a tissue, because I'm at this point crying. So I'm thinking he about to hand me a tissue. No, child, he didn't have to wipe his own tears. He was like, I just want to say, he like, can I give you a hug? And I'm just like, yeah, I guess. Like, do you say no to something like that? So I'm like, yeah, sure. And he was like, I just want you to know that you should probably think about being a public speaker, because your words and your testimony and the way you told your story was very moving. He was like, you really, he's like, and I listen to these, and he's like, I go to things like this and I listen to this a lot. He's like, I've never been moved before the way I was by listening to you speak. So I didn't give my victim impact speech. I don't know what it was, but it was at that moment that I really realized, like, bro, and y'all have to understand, like, when I say I was living in a small 1-bedroom apartment with my 2 kids, like pretty much isolated from the outside world, like the only thing I was doing was going to my 50-year-old neighbor's house to kick it with him, like, so I had never spoke about just a lot of the things that I was dealing with. Like, my parents didn't even know. Like, when they was coming to pick me up, or when I was going back home, they just knew that he was a cheater. They didn't know about the abuse and the just toxicity and the unhealthy relationship I was in. And then, like, kind of just to, even just a little background, like, while I was at the shelter, he would come to the shelter drunk and be like, man, I love you. I just need you to be the woman I want you to be, and that I know you could be. I need you to get on your feet. Sir, that's what a marriage is for. Like ups and downs, hard times, bad times, sickness and health. Not when I hit a rough patch, I gotta go live in homeless shelter to work on myself by myself and get myself together. Sir, no. So that's all I'm gonna talk about today. I think I'm finna record another video about the physical abuse. I don't know, first time he hit me, but right now the message is I think like once I just verbalized that, and I had that really harsh realization that I am being abused, I am being manipulated. And by taking the classes, like, because I had to do all these classes, like I was learning a lot about what abuse is. Cause like I used to try to minimize it, like this ain't no Ike and Cena, like he don't be punching me and I don't be having no bruises or nothing, like, so it's not abuse. So I really I used to minimize it that way. And then by taking these classes, like I realized, like, well, okay, there's the verbal abuse. Okay, there's the financial abuse. Okay, there's the emotional, mental, psychological, like, sis. So I would urge any person, because domestic violence or intimate partner violence or dating violence is a genderless crime. I would urge you not only to seek help, but to talk to somebody. Talk to somebody, and if they don't respond, like if they say it's your fault or if they try to blame you, find somebody else to talk to. Okay? Because it's not your fault. Nobody deserves to be treated like crap. Nobody deserves to not know their own power, to not feel their own worth. Like, it was a sad time for me, bro. Like, I can laugh because the tears is right here. Like, they back here finna come. So I gotta hurry up. But I try to make light of it now. But even sometimes, like, I am very traumatized by some of the things I dealt with. And sometimes, like, this was in 2014. I mean, some other stuff happened after that. But just even, it's the end of 2022 right now, and I still, if somebody yells, like if a man that I don't even know, if I see him yelling, I get sick and I have a physical reaction. Like I still, if I hear glass breaking or people shouting, I still have a physical response to it. So it takes a lot of healing and getting through it. But trying to get through it alone, I would not recommend. And not talking about it, I would not recommend. Not talking about it doesn't make it, like, less true. Like, I really didn't know until I opened my mouth. I was like, this man be hitting me, beating me, telling me I ain't like, talk about it. Write about it. If it's safe to do so, write about it in a journal. Reach out to the domestic violence hotline. Like, I've even been looking at what they have to offer. They can find you local people that you can talk to. Get help. And that's all.